LEGO Technic is easily the single greatest theme of all time. Each set is customized with unique mechanisms and functions for any purpose, no matter what it is. Yet, there's always a few that aren't quite up to standards. I want to stress that I love every single LEGO Technic set. However, with the sheer amount of them released in the past half century, there's gonna be a few that disappoint you or simply didn't meet your expectations. What are the 10 most disappointing LEGO Technic sets? Without any further ado, let's begin. The LEGO Technic Ferrari 488 GTE was the most disappointing thing since my son. The car includes a V8 engine which is connected directly to the rear differential without any sort of gearbox. The car has plenty of hollow empty space inside, so there could have easily been at least a 2-speed gearbox, much like how we got gearboxes in the March 2025 F1 cars. The hollow empty space inside does mean that the car would bend in the middle, it just wasn't super strong when it came to structural integrity. The empty space inside does come with one major positive though, which is the ease of motorization. I made this car full RC and it was definitely the easiest motorization mod I ever did. Another major positive of this car is the aesthetics. Just look at how gorgeous it is. The stickers are truly legendary as well. I love looking at all these different company sponsors. The car does also feature fully independent suspension on all 4 wheels, and many people claimed that it's just too high for a racing car. I personally actually liked the higher suspension, since when combined with my RC mod, I could easily take it into rougher terrain. If you prefer to drive it on just the asphalt for racing, you can combine my RC mod with the legendary Racing Bricks suspension height fix. I just want to say, if you're enjoying this video so far and you would like to see more LEGO Technic top 10 videos, then make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Not to me, but to Racing Brick. No pressure though, no pressure. Next up is the LEGO Technic 6x6 all-terrain tow truck. Even though the set did have a gearbox, which is a massive positive from me, it lacked a servo motor, which means that whenever you tried to steer it, the wheels would never return to center. However, the main reason why so many fans were upset with it is the price. Even if you subtracted the cost of its electronic components from the retail price of $290, you'd still be left with $241, which is overpriced considering it came with a measly 1,862 pieces. The truck bed of the car is completely exposed too, with visible gears and moving axles, so you unfortunately cannot transport anything. Furthermore, the motors actually drive everything through clutch gears, which slip as soon as you sneeze. Oh my god. It stopped! It stopped! As a result, it doesn't have much torque, certainly not as much as what the motors are capable of. You can just easily fix this by replacing any clutch gears with the normal 24-tooth ones. The suspension isn't the greatest either. The front steering axle is fixed and the 2 rear ones just oscillate without any actual shock absorbers. The Z-Tros of 2021 was a much better set in every way, featuring lockable differentials, a dual motor drive, and it could actually climb the steepest possible inclines. Despite the flaws of the 6x6 all-terrain tow truck, I absolutely love the dark azure color. It's not super common in Technic, so it's always nice to see it. The aesthetics on the front are pretty great, and I love the teddy bear here. Here we have the LEGO Technic app-controlled Top Gear Rally Car set number 4109. It introduced a brand new heavy-duty differential and even came with the now discontinued XL motor. So, what's the problem? Well, it all comes down to the car being kind of basic. It does not have any suspension or anything other than just rear-wheel driving and front steering. The 2021 off-road buggy, the successor, actually featured suspension with shock absorbers for the exact same price of $130. The car also veers to the left, maybe because the differential is sitting on the far right side of the axle. Since the car is app controlled, there could have easily been a software fix for it. Why not use the internal gyro of the hub to make it automatically go in a straight line? Despite these flaws, I really like this car due to introducing that brand new differential. The set was simply released at a time when prices for new Control Plus motors had not been established yet, since they became listed on the LEGO website 6 months after the car was released. Because most, including myself, assumed that the new motors would cost about the same price as the Power Functions ones, this car seemed overpriced at the time. The LEGO Technic Extreme Adventure 42069, nice, looks like an absolute beast. Just imagine replacing wheels with those triangular tracks on your car. However, back in 2017 when this set first came out, it greatly disappointed me. It had some very unique features, such as the elevated roof. It's a shame that, despite being so large, it lacked a gearbox. Instead of having a single knob to control the different functions, each one was controlled with its own knob. For example, you could easily merge the winch as well as the opening roof functions together into a gearbox, and have them both controlled by a single knob. Unfortunately, this set isn't motor upgradable either, despite having more than enough room for a simple medium motor and a battery box. This set does have some great positives though. For instance, we have live axle suspension on both the front and rear sets. We also have two-part opening spring-loaded doors, which makes them very satisfying. The set looks absolutely gorgeous too, and it's pretty easy to modify. I made a full RC mod of it back in the day by simply swapping its V8 engine with a Power Functions large motor. It was very fun to play with after the RC mod. It's just, after playing with the Arctic truck of 2015, which is a similar vehicle but it had motor upgradability and a gearbox, I simply expected more from the extreme adventure. Next up is the LEGO Technic heavy-duty excavator 42121. It looks absolutely phenomenal, and I especially love the frosted panel for the cabin. However, it left me upset because I felt like it was a clear downgrade from the 8294 excavator of 2008. That excavator also had a similar arrangement of linear actuators. However, it actually came with a gearbox so that you could control two different linear actuators independently with a single control knob at the back. On the newer small excavator, you had two separate control knobs with smaller gears too, which made it not very ergonomic to use. You might be thinking, this set is simply too small to fit a gearbox. However, look at that hollow empty space inside. Using the emptiness, I actually modified this set to have a gearbox to control the two linear actuators with one knob at the back instead of having two separate ones. With my gearbox mod, it became a Googleplex times better and so much more fun to play with. Another major flaw of the set is that the bucket has very limited range of motion. These are the maximum endpoints, and if we compare it to the compact excavator of 2010, the bucket was able to scoop much more. Whenever a set is unlicensed, like in this case, there is no requirement to place the actuators in specific points to make it accurate to the real-life counterpart. So, I wish the actuators were placed differently to make the motion better. Still, it retailed for a measly $40, which makes it a pretty excellent deal, and one of the cheapest Technic excavators ever. Here we have the legendary Bell Boeing V22 Ospray set number 4113. This set is absolutely incredible. It introduced the basic powered-up battery box for the first time ever, which allowed a motor to spin indefinitely after you turn it on without ever needing to use your phone, making it perfect for models that have a single motor with a gearbox to control the different functions. It's got four motorized things. First of all, we can activate the massive rotors. We can put the rotors into airplane mode. This is such a beast of a plane, truly one of the greatest aircraft ever made. We also have the openable cargo door as well as retractable landing gear. The gearbox had a flaw though. All of the power would pass through a measly 3 8-tooth gears, and they would easily break over time. You could remedy this by making so that it has 6 8-tooth gears instead of 3. However, it's not a perfect fix. The gearbox flaw doesn't matter. I absolutely love this beast. It is easily the single greatest LEGO Technic airplane ever made. If this set is so amazing, why is it on this list? Well, unfortunately, despite going through every phase of product development, from the first basic concepts all the way to production and distribution, this set was cancelled right before its release date. Real shame that it was never sold in any LEGO stores. Fortunately, a few copies made it out to retailers in preparation for the release. As a result, you're able to purchase a sealed copy on eBay or BrickOwl. This is the only way for you to get the 5x13 tapered panels in the gray color, because they only appeared in this cancelled Osprey. However, acquiring the Osprey will cost you at least $700, even for a used copy.
Whoa. Price is the price, yo.
The LEGO Technic 4x4 Extreme Off-Roader introduced the powered-up system into the Technic lineup. It used two powered-up XL motors as well as one large motor. It had incredible articulated steering suspension. However, it retailed for $250 despite containing a measly 958 pieces. Its predecessor, the 4x4 Crawler Exclusive Edition, retailed for $50 less, but it had real power functions lights, an extra medium motor for the winch, a switch, and 1,585 pieces. It was just a much better value for your money. The new Crawler also prioritized speed instead of torque in the gearings. As a result, the motors would stall at the most insignificant inclines, unlike the previous Power Functions Crawler. This could easily be fixed with the single pair gear swap mod. The set also had a pretty low ground clearance, although I think the suspension makes up for it. Still, if you need the extra clearance, you could very easily modify it to give it that extra clearance. Once you do those two mods, the set becomes incredible and an absolute joy to play with. Especially if you're able to get it for less than its original price, it becomes a steal. Furthermore, those XL motors are now discontinued, so that makes it even more worth it. The Mack Anthem of 2018 is simply gorgeous, especially the front truck portion. Just look at the clever use of Technic panels. It's such smooth shaping. The engine itself is pretty excellent too, with it being quite unique at the time. However, it retailed for $180 and contained 2,595 pieces. At such a large piece count, I would expect this model to include a gearbox, but it did not. Most of its mechanisms are incredibly basic. Each of the outriggers are just independently controlled with a separate gear knob. There is a very cool function of being able to lift the container out of the truck. It is split in two parts. We have a pair of small linear actuators for the top, and we have normal-sized actuators for the bottom. Each pair of actuators is controlled with a separate knob. These could have easily been combined into a single knob with the use of a distribution gearbox. What makes up for that is the truck's complex steering system. Instead of using your traditional gear rack steering, it has a very clever arrangement of Technic beams to link up everything together. The steering axle spins a crank, which moves the white beams, and that turns the front wheels. I have seriously never seen anything like this in any other Technic set. Furthermore, the B model is absolutely incredible. It is the Mack LR garbage truck, and it's the first garbage truck we've gotten in Technic since the Barcode multi-set. Next up is the LEGO Technic Mobile Crane 4108. This is one of the few Technic sets I did not buy day one. Main reason is because I felt like it was a downgrade from its predecessor, the 8053 Mobile Crane from 2010. That variant had both a gearbox and motor upgradability. Unfortunately, the new one has neither. The new one made up for it with its amazing paneling though. It looks like a much more finished version of its predecessor, although maybe you prefer the older look. Let me know which aesthetic you like better. Both retailed for $100, and of course, we have to take inflation into account here. The new one actually came with 3 more pieces, and remember that panels are much larger than your average Technic piece, so maybe the new one is actually a better value for your money, speaking purely from a parts perspective and ignoring the functionality. Before I reveal the number 1 pick, I want to give an honorable mention to the Zetros. I personally loved this set. I love it so much that I bought 3 copies of it. The reason why I put it here is because the 2 kings of Technic, Serial and Racing Brick, severely disliked the set, mainly due to its high price tag of $330. I personally disagree with that and think the Zetros is worth it. Finally, we have the LEGO Technic Rough Terrain Crane set number 42082. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but let me explain why I was so disappointed with this model. First of all, despite it being a rough terrain crane, it has zero suspension of any kind. The outriggers are actually too short to reach the floor, just like how someone from my flight school is too short to reach the Cessna rudder pedals. Because of that, the outriggers require you to use special pads, which is quite strange and certainly not a very ergonomic playing experience. The set also did not introduce any brand new pieces. At least something brand new would have been nice to see, especially for such a large set. Previous large-scale sets saw many new pieces and mechanisms like the bucket wheel excavator. Ultimately, the reason why the rough terrain crane is number 1 on this list is because it introduced nothing new. All of its functions, mechanisms, and pieces were stuff we have previously seen before. It is nothing special, and if you would like to understand to a greater extent why I think the set is disappointing, then I suggest looking at Serial's review of the set. If you would like to see the opposite of this video, the 10 most functional LEGO Technic sets, then click on the video in the bottom left corner, or click the recommended video above it. This is your Unbreak Me here, and I'll see you in the next one.